What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Frozen Road Podcast. I am your host, John Hunter. This is Danny the Pitchman Hart, and we have a special guest today. We got our guy, Dallas Braden, on here. Dallas, what is up?
What's up, boys? How we doing, man?
Happy that we're doing this, Dallas.
Yes.
The last couple of days have just been crazy.
We had some hiccups. I got people growing up. I got babies on the way. I got a lot of shit going on. So thanks for hanging with me, boys.
Anytime, man. Anytime. You know,
my
Dallas,
good.
Good.
My wife's 7 months pregnant right now too, so I understand. Like, life happens. Yeah, man. You can't plan everything. I mean,
is that number one? Is that number one for you guys?
That's number two. I have a daughter as well.
Right on. Yeah, I'm working on number 3. So up to your elbows in it, brother.
God bless you. But Dallas, I didn't tell you this before, but you are actually our first former player that we've ever had on here. So you are the first, and I don't think it could happen for a better person because the way that you've been on a podcast, you had a podcast, have one. We're not really sure what's going on there. Hey, we'll figure that out. Hopefully it gets figured out. But it's very cool to have you, and we're really excited to have you, Dallas. If you could just tell people who you are, what you do, and all that type of stuff.
I am a former left-handed changeup slanger for the Oakland Athletics, current Oakland Athletics color analyst. And as you alluded to, I had a podcast called The Starting Nine. It still lives on YouTube. So if you want to see iconic interviews with the game's greatest players of today, interviews with some of the greatest coaches that college baseball has to offer and insights into their program. It's just some of the little stuff that we put together over there. So go ahead and check that out if you get bored. But mind, heart, and soul focused on the Oakland A's baseball season coming up.
And, I'm actually happy that you started with that because, the Oakland A's have a new manager.
Yes,
but he's not new to Oakland.
No, he's not new to Oakland, not new to me, former teammate of mine.
That's awesome.
So to get Kotsay, look, I said this about Mark Kotsay. The dude is a baseball rat. As far as an outfielder was concerned, maybe not the fastest dude in the bunch, but probably hands down the best reads you're going to get, best angles taken. So just the way he played the game, the details, the attention to detail, he's going to bring that with passion and the familiarity as well, not only with the guys in the organization, but the front office. So this couldn't have been a better hire for a first-year manager coming into a situation where there's not a ton of expectation in terms of championship aspirations. Look, we all want to win. We all want to ring. But stepping into a scenario where there's going to be some movement here, I think it's just a great opportunity, not only for the organization as they potentially hit that reset, but a first-year manager learning the mechanics of what his job is going to be.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, when I saw it, you're kind of shocked. I was shocked in the sense that I hadn't heard his name shuffled around as much. Which you hear different names. You hear the Buck Showalters were being not specifically for Oakland, but just in general.
Sure,
there were certain names. Mark Kotsay wasn't one of them, and it's just very cool that he's going back there mainly because, like you said, he's a baseball rat. It's almost like he literally is in the perfect situation for the Oakland Athletics.
That's what I tried to that's what I tried to tell people the minute that this happened. Look, yes, let's be honest. Do I have an idea of what's going on behind the scenes? Sure. And that's why when people asked me who the manager was going to be as soon as Bob Melvin left, knowing how things operate, I knew Ryan Christensen was probably on his way to wherever Bob Melvin was going. Yeah. And wouldn't you know, that's exactly how it worked out. I actually said that on the podcast that I used to do.
Yeah.
And I said, that's a great place for Ryan Christensen. And it's a tremendous opportunity for Mark Kotsay. And that's exactly how it panned out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like players like Kotsay, he wasn't necessarily a superstar, obviously, but those type of players, I feel like they always find their way to just be able to lead a team and get you everything that you would want in a manager. He does all the small things right. He knows he's a baseball guy. He's not just all about his talent. So, I'm excited for the A's. I think they obviously did a very good job hiring him, and I think he's going to do a hell of a job out there.
Well, we just need his steadfast approach. He's a guy he's going to wear the win. Excuse me. He's going to wear the wins and losses on his sleeve.
Yeah,
because he cares and because he's a first-year manager, and I expect that. But I also expect him to do what he's done in the past as a player and be a calming presence as well. So again, boys, I couldn't be happier about it. And there wasn't a better selection between him and Ryan Christensen. It could have really gone 1 and 1A.
And the cool thing is like you said that you are, a color commentator for them. You actually have that insight of Mark Kotsay being a former teammate, where it actually helps you out too, because you can tell stories better on, broadcast about Kotsay, guys, stuff like that. You have more of a good track on who he is.
Yeah, like this is the kind of dude he is. He's the kind of guy, like when we're in Texas and it's 105 degrees out there, and not the turf, like fake grass, but the actual surface, playing surface is so hot. He's the kind of guy to come in and dump his feet in a bucket of ammonia water, cleats and all, just to cool himself down and go back out there next half inning and just keep it moving. Like he's like awesome. Whatever we got to do to get it done. And that really is emblematic of the blue collar mentality of that Oakland community, which is, again, another great representation, not only of the city, but the organization, Mark Kotsay at the front of that line.
That's awesome. So on to another former Oakland Athletic. I mean, people will not look at him as a former Athletic because it was only half a season, but John Lester retired today.
Wow.
I see how I just rolled right into that.
It's you. A little segue. I like that. Former Oakland great.
Listen, if something doesn't work out with your old podcast, you can always come on here and just talk baseball with us, man.
You need a third wheel?
Yeah, if it's you, 100% we need a third wheel.
No,
but yeah, I saw you posted earlier about John Lester saying that you always were jealous of him. Little insight about that.
Well, yeah, so, like I was just jealous of like his ability to go out there and seemingly just talk mad shit to the umpire, like yell at him, like pitch one. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's like, John, that was an inch and a half. Okay, it's the third pitch of the game. Let's settle in. And he's like, no.
I think we're having some technical difficulties up there.
At the end of the game,
there we go.
He's got you in his back pocket. It feels like he's got that umpire rooting for him through all of it. And it's like, how did that happen? How the hell did that?
Yeah.
Wins him over with his charm.
Absolutely. Oh, something's going on with his I think something's going on with his feet up there.
Yeah, he's frozen on mine too.
Up in the mountains.
We're just really happy and quiet.
Dallas, if you can hear us, why don't you get out, come back in? But yeah, I mean, let's see.
It's Lester's career was crazy though.
Good. There we go.
Oh, he's back. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's good. But yeah, so I'm actually a Red Sox fan. So John Lester was always someone who I was a big fan of, and was always enjoyed watching him pitch, especially the 07, 08, he came back from cancer, was able to just absolutely deal. And then 08 is when he threw that no-hitter, which everyone was just like in shock and awe of how great he was doing. It was really cool to see him be, that guy. Yeah, something's going on with the Wi-Fi up there.
The numbers between his Cubs career and his Red Sox career were crazy how similar they were. Like spot on.
Yeah, it was. He has like the same winning percentage or something like that.
Yeah, same winning percentage and ERA, like same exact. It's crazy. 6.36 winning percentage and like 3.46 ERA, something like that. Just insane that you can have like that Kobe Bryant type thing where it's like the same exact career in two different numbers. He had the same exact
different numbers
career in two different places. Like
absolutely,
it's just it's crazy.
I'm hoping Dallas is able to find out how to get this situation.
I mean, he is up the mountains. Obviously, the Wi-Fi is probably crazy up there.
Yeah, he just got it. He's probably going to come back in. Yeah. But yeah, dude, it's pretty wild how that worked out for him. You know what I mean? Where it was, half the career was this way, half the career was the same way, and it was in two pretty historic uniforms too.
Yeah,
you know,
I
him
mean,
pitching for the
the
Cubs
two
and
most historic ballparks. Like it's just
he won a World Series in two of the places that were, looked at as almost impossible
the two
yeah.
curses.
Yeah, he was a big. I mean, he didn't break the first curse, but
Yeah.
he won a second World Series with the Red Sox, and then won the big one in 2016 with the Cubs. I'm assuming Dallas will be back on. I think he was having some technical difficulties up there, but yeah, man.
Just shows you the consistency that he had. Like it's crazy. Great career. I mean, borderline Hall of Famer. He has to be at this point. 200 wins
100%.
and three World Series. Like just
100%.
dominant in the postseason. So that always helps the resume.
See now, I look at him as a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else. I'm not sure how many other people will look at him as Hall of Famer. Or is Dallas coming back? I don't know how many other people will look at him as that because of the fact that wins don't get looked at the way that they used to get looked at. As far as in the Hall of Fame world and stuff like that. So you never really know. You don't know if the 200 wins is really going to matter. I mean, you have. I think I was reading something today, or I heard something today that he's got like the fourth best winning percentage or something like that for a left-handed pitcher.
That's crazy.
Which is pretty insane if that's the truth. I thought I read that today. Yeah, Dallas is definitely having some issues over here. But yeah, you know what? One thing I do want to talk about though, why he's figuring out his stuff. We didn't talk about the Buck Showalter signing. We weren't able to get to that. This is the first podcast of the new year. So, we weren't able to really speak about that. And Dan, what do you where are you at with the whole Buck Showalter signing?
I mean, the dude just he always finds a job. Obviously, there he is.
There's Dallas. Dallas, we were trying to fill some time while you were figuring out your issue up there. And we were talking about the Buck Showalter signing with the Mets.
Yeah.
And so Danny was giving his little what he thought about it.
They've had a hell of a offseason as an organization, which sucks being a Phillies fan, but it is what it is.
Well, now you've got a guy like Buck who can come in and handle the personalities,
the name respect,
the expectation, and that's think about the situation we just got done talking about with Mark Kotsay that he's coming into and where he's at in his career as a manager, just getting going. That's a great situation for him to step into, for the organization. Flip side of that, Mets, the expectations. What do they need? They don't need somebody coming in there just starting their journey. They need somebody in there with a little dirt under their fingernails, a little dirt under their spikes. Veteran leadership. Enter Buck Showalter.
Yeah.
And let's be real. When your guy, the dude that Uncle Stevie went out and signed and opened up the pocketbook for, is the dude out there on the corner beating the drum, telling you, I need Buck Showalter here. When Max Scherzer's telling you that Buck Showalter is going to be the guy, he's probably going to be the guy.
Yeah, get him.
It's actually insane that they're going to have a rotation that starts with Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. Like that's almost that's terrifying, to be honest. I don't know how do you get through a series like that?
Scherzer's on paper, you're number 2 if deGrom's healthy. Like that's again as a Phillies fan, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
That East, hang with that East.
I think fuck's the only real word that you can throw out there for that. Like that's just
it's
insane. So Dallas, this whole thing is about you today. This is what I kind of wanted to make. I wanted to make it this is a Dallas. You're the featured guy. So
love it.
Where did your love and your passion for the game of baseball start? Where you're from? Where? Arizona, I believe is where I saw.
No. I mean, I was born in Arizona, on a plane like 24 hours later. Right? Yeah, okay. Stockton, California.
Okay, so Stockton, California. Yeah. And then, where is that where you found your love for baseball there?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I grew up. And I mean, playing Little League, what we call Inland Port, Babe Ruth. That's where the love came from. But my mom and my grandmother, I mean, look, we moved from one neighborhood to another just because of my little league, right? Because you start making all-stars and now you got parents who are like, look, I know that you're living out of the district. And if your son is on that team and you're going to beat our team and you're going to get, well, then I'm going to raise the flag on you. Like I'm going to call bullshit. Like so it was like, damn, really? It starts that early. Oh, it absolutely starts that early. So you make the adjustments, but that's where the love of baseball was really, for me, kind of grown and cultivated. Was I saw sacrifices being made for me very early on just to be able to play the game. So what the game ended up offering me in terms of an escape and in terms of what was able to reel me back in after being a screw up, like that was, I mean, baseball is the only reason I'm still breathing.
Yeah. And aren't the Diaz brothers from Stockton?
Sure are.
Do you know the Diaz brothers?
I do know the Diaz brothers.
That's that's a rough crowd right there.
But it's we say
people to have in your back pocket.
you grow up in Stockton learning how to not look at people. And what that means is you just, like what are you staring at? You got something to talk about? If not, keep it moving. Like it's a very no nonsense type of area. It's a very blue collar area. And I mean, you will work for whatever it is you think you're going to get. Like there's nothing being handed out there. Nothing.
That's amazing. That's, I'm not from like a bad neighborhood, but like the neighborhood that I grew up, that I ended where it now is pretty much the same way, where like you don't like really walk through there. That you're not really walking through my neighborhood anymore.
Yeah, keep it moving. It's eye contact. It's like you don't know if you want to do that.
Minimal eye contact.
Yeah, I always tell people there's areas like, I know what it's like to not be able to order a pizza. Like the pizza man ain't coming to your house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, like we don't deliver shit over there.
It's kind of
like, people are like, is that real? Like, is it like, that's not just Stockton. That's, I'm sure that's lots of places, but
it's funny you say that. So like I went to Chicago a couple years ago, and I was in Wrigleyville, north side, very nice on the north side of Chicago. I was talking to this guy. It was this security guard at the Cubby Bear. Have you been?
Yep.
I'm sure you've been to the Cubby Bear. So so I'm sitting in the Cubby Bear and I'm talking to this guy, and I'm like, so I want to go to a White Sox game. I said, and I want to go through the south side. And he was like, he looked at me and went, "White boy, you go in, you ain't coming out." Plain and simple. And I asked him, I was like, can I take like a cab there? He went, cabs don't go through the south side. I was like, right on. What do you say to that? You know what I mean?
It's not.
Yeah, I hear you. Like you just go on with your day. Like, but it was just kind of crazy though, how that you just said that, and it's just like the guy just was so stern about it. Like, you're not going to the south side, my guy.
It is what it is, man. Yeah. It's very simple. Very, very simple.
Yeah. So May 9th, 2010.
Yeah.
I mean, when did you know like shit's about to get real here?
They were having a mound meeting. With James Shields, who was, their guy. Obviously, dude was dynamic in his prime. And, we put up
so good. He was actually so good that they thought Fernando Tatis was worth him. Worth
right.
That.
What a crazy.
Right.
That's how good he was.
Such a crazy drop off he had.
Yeah. So they there's a mound meeting, and that's when I'm kind of looking up at the scoreboard, kind of looking at the game and thinking to myself, all right, well, no runs, no hits. Okay. I don't think I've walked anybody either. Oh shit. And then I was like, all right, and I remember audibly telling myself, don't baby it. And that just meant
go get it. Yeah, go get this shit.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Because my mentality my entire life has been like, if I'm waking up today, that's a win.
Yeah.
Don't know that I was supposed to be here today. So let's kick some ass. We're playing with house money. Let's roll. And
absolutely,
like I still live my life that way. So in that moment, it was nothing for me to just kind of put that aside, the gravity of the situation, and then almost, get motivated and still want to just go out there and get outs, and as the game progressed, you got to remember, I had never even thrown a complete game up until that point.
Yeah.
So I'd never even seen the 9th inning of a big league mound. So by the time I got out there in the 9th inning, like I was just like, yeah, this is a done deal. This is a wrap.
So Daddy actually has a story where there was a point in time where he wasn't a big fan of yours because of that day. And Dan, do you want to talk to him and tell him why you weren't a big fan of his?
You sat me on your fantasy.
So
game,
one of my first years, no, I played against your perfect game throwing ace. That's the problem. I was going into Sunday. Obviously, Sunday's the last day of fantasy week. I'm up like 60 points, and if you get like a 120-point day, it's pretty solid. So I knew my players were. I had a few home runs. I'm like, all right, cool, no worries. I go on the next day. Well, I didn't know I was playing you at the time. I was, and the next day I'm like, oh shit, I lost. How did that happen? I go on. 120 points is good for a whole team for the day. So I was like, this dude threw a perfect game, but did a perfect game alone get you 80 points, or did you solve world hunger at the same time? Like, there's 80 points is like, yeah. That next day, it wasn't the biggest Dallas Braden fan, but I mean, fantasy does that to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you did right on my my hopes for the week.
That's right. That's right.
That's
fucking.
great.
That's why I tell people, gambling on baseball, it feels like it can be super easy if you know what you're looking for, matchups and whatnot.
Yeah.
But why it's one of the worst or toughest sports to bet on is because all it takes is some asshole like me to show up and actually make the start and then actually do well. And everything you thought about how this was going to go, all the homework you did on your matchups and all that, out the window.
Right. It's gone. That was all gone.
Yeah, you just dick stomped my whole day. Yeah, absolutely. You went on to throw what?
You're over it.
Yeah, it's absolutely. So what, 12 years ago at this point? But it took me about 6. But you went on to throw what, 5 complete games that year too? Like that's kind of unheard of this time. Like,
did I?
These days. Yeah, I think so. I think it was like 5. You had 5 complete games and 2 actual complete game shutouts. So I'm like, you were fucking throwing baseballs in the trash cans that year. You were on that year, Dallas.
Yeah,
you were on your shit that year for sure.
They ain't letting guys get too deep these days. I don't know if it's I think though it's a combination of not letting guys get to that point, and the reason they're not getting to that point is because they have a long list of numbers and matchups and data that's telling them that this is the play, this is the move to make. We're looking to maximize the guys we have down in the bullpen and the matchups with the other team. So I understand all that, but I also think it's funny how the same analysis that is telling you that it's time to move on from your starter at this point in time is going to be the same analysis that leads you back to identifying the horses that can go deep into a ball game. And it's going to lead people to try to unearth those guys again, because as cyclical as the game of baseball is, we are, in my opinion, getting towards the end of the placing the ultimate value in the bullpen and solely on the bullpen. And we're going to be making a turn back around the dial that says, you know what? What if we had a few guys that could start the game and actually give us 6+ innings every time out? Feel like having a few of those guys would be super valuable. And we're going to start to try to identify them. And the reason I bring the 6-inning thing up is because we're seeing guys get yanked 4 2/3, 5, 5 1/3. And it's not because of a lack of performance. It could very well be a combination of maybe they don't have their best stuff, but the matchups coming up tell us it's time to go right now. Well, you got a 4-run lead. Those matchups tell me that this dude's probably got 2 more outs in him, at least.
Yeah, I mean it is crazy. The analytical part of baseball is definitely, I mean, it's taken over. It's 100% taken over the whole game. We're seeing that more and more every day. And even when it comes to the Hall of Fame, we're even seeing people look at Hall of Fame people. The different type way people are voting now is completely different than it used to be. I mean, you have a guy who we live in Philadelphia, and there's a guy who probably would have been a Hall of Famer, a slam dunk, and Jimmy Rollins, if this was, maybe 1994, 1993, he could have had a very good chance of making the Hall of Fame. Now, it's, it doesn't really matter. He's got a low WRC plus for his career. He's got a low OPS plus. There's a lot of things that he's under, that threshold of 100, which is the average. He's under that. Great defensive player, but there are things that people look at and go, well, he's not a Hall of Famer because of this now. And it's kind of crazy that guys like that are now looked at in the way that they are.
Well, it's bananas to think that a guy like that, and that's where if you're going to just give me a raw numbers, this is clear cut, this is it, then there's ultimately no argument to be had.
Yeah.
If you establish a baseline, and let's call it 65, a WAR of 65 or more. All right. If you're coming in at a 64.8 WAR based on the numbers, keep it moving. See you later. Like, hold on, time out. Don't you want to have a conversation about what? You've set the bar at 65, 64.8. Can't have that conversation. Well, don't you want to start to value the position he played? I'd love to. I would love to, but you've told me that the 65 WAR is the baseline, and we gotta move on from guys who aren't there.
Yeah.
Well, he's a switch hitting defender playing a premium defensive position, the top of a lineup. Like, does any of that matter? Matters to me. Matters a whole hell of a lot to me. Matters to the manager, matters to the pitchers that faced him, matters to the teammates who hit around him, matters to the opponents he played against. But it doesn't matter to your 65 WAR baseline. So again, keep it moving. And I'm not saying Jimmy falls into that category. I don't even know what the numbers are. I don't know what Jimmy Rollins' career WAR is off the top of my head. Yeah. But I'm just for conversation's sake, it feels like that's how shit goes. And you don't want to value what the individual meant to all of those things I just laid out. The era, his team, opponents. Like, when you're being game planned around and against because of who you are, like, that's something that the numbers might not reflect.
No, and he was definitely I'm again, I'm from here, not a Phillies fan, to quote unquote, but I always respected Jimmy Rollins. Do I think he was a Hall of Famer? I don't know. He's on the cusp. I think he's on the cusp. There is a cusp there that I think that I think Chase Utley is, but second basemen aren't very valued the way that other positions are. Unfortunately,
no, they're not.
They are looked at as like a weak spot on the team for some weird reason, because we've seen some great second basemen throughout history. But it just blows my mind that he's almost not even being considered at this point by the big votes. Like,
it's going to trust me, the drop off we're already seeing, like, for some of the guys, the fact that David Ortiz, his first year is going to probably be a Hall of Famer. That's the way it's trending right now.
Yeah.
And in their final year, after a decade of consideration, Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds are not going to be.
It's fucking ridiculous.
I just don't see how they, like, and don't be wrong, I get it. The steroids thing, it was big. It was definitely a huge thing within the game, and and people can say that it tarnished the game. There are people who who
saved
will say that it saved
the game. Yep.
And it did, and and unfortunately, but it was both sides. It wasn't just hitters doing it; pitchers were doing it as well. So
that and my hang up with a lot of the judgment that gets cast from yesteryear is, like, these are guys who admittedly were taking amphetamines, right? Taking greenies, and you want to, like, you don't have to compare them if you don't want to. You can tell me they're apples and oranges, but when I know that the ultimate goal is to be on the field each and every day and performing at a high level, I know that both of those substances achieve exactly that in two different ways. But the bottom line is that ultimate goal, that finish line that they're both looking to cross, both users, it's the same finish line. Can I do what I did today, tomorrow, the same way that I did it yesterday? And can I do it 3 weeks from now, the same way I did it 2 weeks before that? Because that's what's going to create longevity for me. That's what's going to, but you have those guys already in the hall.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're the ones some of those guys are the ones beating drums saying, keep these other guys out. And I've long said the Hall of Fame is a museum. It is there to tell the story of the game of baseball, good, bad, or indifferent. I'll leave that to mom and dad explaining to Timmy and Tammy and Tommy and Teresa why this person did X, Y, and Z. Why that person did X, Y, and Z. I'll let mom and dad, aunt and uncle, teacher, whoever, I'll let them explain that to them. If you're so hung up on the character clause of it, then I'll let you paint them in whatever light you would like to paint them in. But with the Hall of Fame, what the museum should be doing is telling you the impact on the game that these players had. That's what that's for. And if the first thing that comes to your mind is how they treated media members or what rules they broke, because let's be real here. I don't remember anybody in Congress, and I wasn't around for it, so I could be talking out of the side of my neck. But I don't remember anybody in Congress standing up on Capitol Hill trying to bang amphetamine users and greenie users in the game of baseball. Nobody in government, from what I remember, was using that as part of the platform they were running for office with. But if you remember when the steroid era came down and people were cracking down on that, everybody on Capitol Hill and their mom that was running for a spot in office was like, and you know what? The steroids, we got to get that out of our high schools. And we got to get, and it's like, who's going to tell you no? Who's going to tell you that that's a bad idea? Who doesn't want, right? These kids in high school shooting themselves up with shit. I don't think anybody wants that. So you're not going to catch much resistance when you start to try to skewer guys in that regard. So it became an easy target, fish in a barrel for people. And you just want to forget about that?
Yeah. I mean, and something I've thought about a lot recently is, how big of a detriment it would be to the museum that the all-time hits leader and the all-time home runs leader and probably one of the greatest pitchers of all time in Roger Clemens. He's actually the all-time F-WAR leader for pitchers.
Just say it like this.
Them three not being in the whole, I understand the Pete Rose thing, and I will not sit here and act as if, especially the most recent stuff that's coming out about the whole, statutory situation and all that. I don't, if you don't want him in, I'm not going to fight you on that. Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens deserve their spot there. That's just where I'm at.
Look, you have a Hall of Fame that is not going to be telling the story of the best pitcher, the best player, and the best hitter of your sport.
Yeah.
So do with that what you will.
And that's
you go ahead and sell that museum and what it's about to whoever you'd like. If you preface it with that, what are we doing?
Yeah,
it's the ego of the voters themselves that have the say of who becomes a Hall of Famer is fucking ridiculous. Like the fact that
Dan O'Shaughnessy today or yesterday, whenever it was that his came out, Dan O'Shaughnessy voted for just Jeff Kent. Like you have 10
second year in a row.
You have 10. You're in the Boston Globe.
What the fuck are you doing?
Like you're the Boston Globe. You didn't even vote for Poppy. You're the only person at the Boston Globe who didn't vote for David Ortiz, by the way.
Yeah.
Like they're making that known. Like this is the only guy at the Boston Globe who has not voted for David Ortiz. Like Ortiz, the mystery test that was taken or whatever you want to call it back in 2003, like that whole thing, you're so hung up on that. He never tested positive after that. So
well, that's what I mean.
what is your deal?
It's really it gives these right. It gives whoever has that vote. It gives them the opportunity to be hung up on whatever they want to be hung up on.
Like
Right,
they have too much
and
authority.
it's like, what, do you realize that your opinions doesn't take away the homers? It doesn't take away the wins, the punch outs, the statistical standings. Like, your opinion doesn't take away any of that. But because you have a vote that is supposed to be putting all of those numbers and things into perspective, you're just choosing to write out with your opinion. Like, you're taking the character clause, and it's almost like
that's first
a grade.
Like character.
It's almost like a grade in a college course, right? How it's weighted. So what we just found out is you don't have to show up for a single fucking class, not all year long, not once. You just got to use the character clause when you vote, and you're going to pass. Because it's 95% of the total grade for these voters is the character clause. Like, was he a good person or a bad person? Did he offend me? Am I offended by the way he's lived his life? Am I offended by the way he communicates with others? Am I offended by? And it's like, all right, well, that's 95%. Well, what's the other 5%? Oh, just the whole, like, statistical and productive impact on the game over the course of his career and where he fits into the pantheon of other stars, comparatively speaking. Oh, you mean everything you should be considering?
It just doesn't make any sense. And
baseball.
It's I don't know. There is somebody on the ballot that I know that you have a history with. I believe his name is Alex Rodriguez. Is somebody who you have a little bit of a history with. He broke the main rule. You don't one of the main
fucking
rules.
Mound, man.
He stepped on your mound. Is there still any beef there? Do you still feel the same way you felt then?
I hope so.
Oh yeah, like I don't. That shit, like that's the thing about. So. Baseball players have long memories. Yeah, very long memories, and you don't forget things, and there's things you don't forgive as well. And I understand that if you give an individual enough opportunity to show you who they are time and time again, they're going to do just that. Whether they realize that they're painting that picture for you or not, they're not going to be able to get out of their own way. Yeah. And I think for me, it's kind of obvious who he is as a human being. And that is being said with limited interaction with him personally, on top of countless stories firsthand of people's experiences. So, like, it's just, look, I don't know the dude personally to trash the dude.
Yeah.
He's just nobody that I would ever benefit from having in my life.
I got you.
Let's be real. He's not losing sleep that I don't like the guy. Like, he can give up. He's doing just fine. But yeah, like when it's funny, like, because there's like he had to come to Oakland and call a game, and I went to the game, had the day off, and was sitting up in the stands drinking beers, right, just talking shit, hanging out. And then before the game ended, came up and saw some folks in the press box, and the game ended, and I got on the elevator, and he got on the elevator with everybody else, right? And it's just because I'm talking to everybody on the elevator, high five and fist bumping, talking, blah, 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 giving people hugs. This was when we could be humans together. And and like, I just look at him and like, you keep it, but like you just know, like, don't, like, I don't know. It's
isn't it crazy? Like, did you ever think that like your life would turn out to where like you have like a like where you just you're able to look at Alex Rodriguez in the face and be like, "Fuck you," kind of, like I don't really fuck with you. Like, no, you have like that, like that's like a cool thing to have. Like you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like fuck off, Alex.
Well, I'll tell you guys this story. I don't know if you've heard this story. I think I told it on the podcast before. But I was out one night for my birthday, like years ago, maybe like 6, 7 years ago. And it's just me and my wife, and I am shit-faced, just housed. And we're leaving. It's the end of our dinner. It's the end of our night. And she walks up ahead of me, and we're walking through the doorway, and this arm reaches out and like grabs me. And I like stop and look back. And as I like turn and look back, I see who it is. It registers like who it is. It's Alex. And I go, oh, this fucking guy.
Bad day to be Alex Rodriguez.
said it just like that. And he was very nice. Like he was like, hey man, saw you on TV. Because we had the same agent at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Danny let me know, like, you're doing a great job, man. I love watching you, love blah, blah, blah. Hey, I saw them, bring you over cake and happy birthday. And I was just like, and I just fucking walked off. Like I didn't say a fucking word. Not a single word.
That's incredible.
He was only being nice because he didn't want to get an 88 mile per hour left hand coming at his fucking jaw.
You don't want that 84 with buzz. Yeah, no, he's a sizable individual. That's the problem. Like
that's a sizable individual.
Yeah, that's one thing I had to make sure people understood. Like, at no point in time was me like going after him or like I'm not telling you that I'm going to kick the shit out of the guy. I'm just telling you that if it came down to it, like he's going to have to punch me hard and a lot of times. Like I'm not just going to go away. That's all. That's all that is. Like I'm not telling you I'm beating anybody's ass. That was just me saying,
for sure.
Pissed me off, and like that. But see, that goes back to the whole like I blame Stockton for that.
Yeah, but no, you're a product of your environment, man.
It'd be nice to have that filter. Like, hey, shut up. You're about to get worn out.
I have a couple more questions before we let you go. Your broadcasting career.
Yeah.
How did that start? How did you get into it? How did you, what was like the moment that they were like, listen, like we want you to do this, and like how did that all come about?
I was on my fishing boat out in the middle of the river, sitting on a clam bed trying to chase some sturgeon, and my phone rang. It was my agent, and he was like, "Hey, you want to go audition at ESPN?" And I was like, "For what?" He was like, to do the baseball show, you idiot. What do you mean for what?" And I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, I'll go. So I went out there, had a great time, had a great day. By the end of the day, they had offered me the job. So that's how it started, doing, Baseball Tonight and Sports Center and stuff like that at ESPN.
Yeah.
And then from there, I started calling games. The first game I called was Giants Diamondbacks 2015? Yeah. 2015 with Dave Fleming. And really from there, that experience is what kind of like opened my eyes to the ability to look at the game in a different light, study it in a different way. And for somebody who was always studying my opponent and looking for that little crevice that I could try to sneak through and try to gain a foothold, like I can do that now in a different way. And that's really exciting because the game has so much talent that it becomes fun to try to look at this stuff. But then getting the opportunity once I left ESPN to go to what was then Comcast, now NBC Sports, which is an incredible family to be a part of, because they care about what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's where the opportunity with the A's came in. And just being able to come back to the only team that I ever played for and be a part of a community that I grew up in and grew up visiting and going to, that has been like, this is full circle for me. Like, this is how you draw it up, even though I had no plans of drawing this up this way, right? Like, I wasn't supposed to be a big league ball player. I definitely wasn't supposed to have my one good day at work. And the only reason I'm in the seat I'm in now is because all of that happened. And I'm very, very aware of that. So knowing how fortunate I am that things have worked out the way they have, that's why I do not take for granted the opportunity that I have in front of me to be a part of. Look, there's only 30 jobs like that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm lucky to have one of them.
That's amazing. I mean, that's the dream. You know what I mean? It is, like you said, that is literally like it's everything came full circle for you, and you do great with it, you know. And I enjoy listening to you. You know, I told you before we came on. I told you before we came on. You know, me and Danny both really enjoy the starting nine. We hope that we're able to figure that out. You guys are able to figure that out. And that was like where I was rolling. That's actually one of my questions I was going to ask you because of your connection with Jarrett on there. I mean, you guys have a great, you know, yin and yang for somebody. You have Jarrett who never played professional baseball. You who does. He's just a huge fan of the game, and it's cool to see that interaction, hear that interaction, and the way that you guys go about it, and the way that you guys are able to, you know, have like that normal. It's just a normal conversation, kind of like this. It's just a normal conversation, which is very cool, and it's for me that's what draws me in, and it's why I wanted to do this.
Well, you guys love the game the same way that I love the game. The game represents a certain something in your life similar to what it represents for me on some level, right? So, like I've never understood like why you wouldn't want to help people out like that, why you wouldn't want to be a part of something like that. So, when it became an opportunity for Jared and I to build what we have built, it was exciting. Because I had no fucking clue. Like I remember getting off of the airplane. I was actually getting on an airplane to go to NBC and work for Oakland. When I got the news that I was fired at ESPN, they're like, "Hey, you know, we're firing all these people. You're one of them. Hang with them. See you later, whatever." I was like, "Yeah, cool. I got to go though because I'm getting on an airplane. I'll talk to you later." Great. Yeah. I landed. And old little Davey Portnoy gave me a call and was like, "Hey, you ever heard of Barstool Sports? You want to come?" And I was like, "Nope. What do you got?" And he was like, "Yeah, this is what we do. This is what we got. This is who I am. Blah 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 blah. This is what I'm thinking." And I was like, "Sounds great, man. Sounds awesome. Let's fucking do it." So from there, that's how Jared and I kind of came together, met up, and built what we have built. I mean, I'm really proud of what we were able to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Just being genuine from a fan perspective and from a former player perspective. I think that's why, you know, if it worked, if people enjoyed it, I think that's why.
Yeah, I think what you guys built like at Barstool, like you are such a like an influential bridge from the boring ass Rob fucking Manfred to the younger generation that they're like having trouble getting. Like you guys provide that entertainment, that like the insight. Like you're a player and you can say fuck 35 times if you want. Like it doesn't matter. Like that's like the young people want to see that shit. Like, we don't want to see robots. We don't want to see fucking Alex Rodriguez have a Manning cast. Who the fuck wants to see that? Like that's terrible.
Yeah.
Like we want to see real genuine people, like you said, genuine. Like that goes a long way, and like that's what younger people want to see. Like that helps build the game.
It's good to be a fan. Like I
definitely.
It's good to be a fan in the broadcast booth. It's good to be a fan in the press box. Like that's something that you'll hear a lot of the old scribes talk about, and I unapologetically throw it directly back in their face. And I explain to them, like, no. You clamor and you force the questions on players to try to get something different out of them, right? Because you're tired of the same old song and dance. Well, what if I spun this around on you and said, you know what? Why don't you quit being the way it's always been? Yeah. And maybe, just maybe, you might get something you haven't gotten before out of a player or out of whatever it is you're looking to get. Have you ever thought about that? And it doesn't feel like they have.
No.
And so when you let your guard down and you show that you're human You know, like
Yeah.
I say this to the people that I yell at in customer service over the phone all the time, right? Like shout out DirecTV, just some of the biggest clowns going in that customer service. But I tell them, do you guys like look, before you woke up this morning and put on that little polo that just killed your soul and disabled your ability to feel human feelings, before that happened, you woke up and you were a human and you bled like me. You wanted things to just work, things that you paid for. You just wanted shit to go the way it's supposed to go, right? So just remember that much. Like that's all you want. You want them to remember.
Yeah, and trust me, the whole starting nine thing, if it doesn't ever make its way back, it will always be remembered as an absolute starting point for so many of us who do this and love this and want to do this and make it, bigger than what it is. And you guys were like the kind of like the Yellowbrook Road for us. You know what I mean? We all thank you for that.
We'll keep paving, keep putting them bricks down, baby.
We're gonna keep trying, man. We're gonna keep trying. Guys like you coming on here. We're nothing. We're a small podcast, and you took your time out while you're with your family. By the way, Dale's up the mountains with his family right now, and he was able to come on here, and it's incredible that you were able to do that. And we thank you so much for that.
No problem, man. I told you guys that was we had some hurdles that I had to dodge yesterday, but I told you and just remember that much. Like all I can do is give you my word and try to show you that I'm being real when I tell you that I love the game the way I do, that I appreciate the opportunities that I have. And it's because I understand that it could be one opportunity with somebody who you never thought you were going to have an opportunity to sit down with that could change your whole perspective, that could motivate you on a different level. And
Definitely.
For whatever fucking reason, if I'm that asshole, then more power to whoever wants to have that convo. I'm here.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, that's Dan. Do you have anything else to ask Dallas?
Yeah, actually, what you were just talking about, how like every little thing like matters and stuff. Did you ever cross paths with Sean Murphy, the pitcher in the Oakland organization?
Yeah,
He's from Philly.
Away.
Sean Murphy. No. I was thinking Sean Gallagher. Excuse me. A different guy.
But I was curious. Yeah, he got drafted in 2010. So I thought there were like maybe a slim chance that you would have crossed paths at some time. But yeah, he passed away. He was from my neighborhood. Grew up with him and stuff. He's like 3 years older than me, but like great kid and all. But I was just curious if he was ever.
Yeah, I played with him my freshman year so I went to North. We went to North Catholic here in Philadelphia, and I played baseball with him, and he was a senior when I was a freshman, and we looked at him like, God, because we knew this dude was going to be something. You know what I mean? You could tell. And then he ended up getting drafted. Oakland took him, and it was like a huge deal. And me and Danny were talking about it before. And we were like, I wonder if Dallas ever actually spoke to him, or if he ever crossed paths.
I know you were like he got drafted in 2010, and you had a lot of injuries and stuff. I was like, I'm curious if he ever like rehab, like because Sean got hurt a couple times too. I was like, I wonder if they ever just crossed paths. Like that would have been.
Yeah, it'd been pretty cool if you did.
Cool story. But everything. Yeah.
But Dallas, again, we thank you and enjoy your time up the mountains with your family. Hopefully we can have you on again, maybe during the season at some point. That'd be great if that's possible.
No doubt, man.
Absolutely.
And this fucking lockout.
Yeah, and please end this lockout. That'd be incredible as well.
I'm going fucking bananas. I told my wife I'm not shaving anything until we're back playing baseball. Nothing.
That's awesome.
Thank Rob Manfred for that.
Yeah, thanks, Uncle Manfred. Well, boys, thank you very much for having me on, man. I appreciate that. And seriously, I'm sure you hear Gary V say it all the time. If you've come across his channel, I'm sure it's fucking hard not to. But I truly subscribe to his mindset of like, don't listen to the outside noise, put the blinders on and do what you want to do and keep pushing. Because that's the only way shit gets done is with your effort. And sometimes you find yourself working uphill and in spite of some of the things that you feel like should be helping you. And it's on those days you get tested, you find out what you're made of. keep rolling, man. You guys are going to kick major ass.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dallas. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Also,
Anytime.
fuck Alec Rodriguez and fuck DirecTV.
Boom.
Gotcha.
Let him know, Daddy boy.
Absolutely. But go follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Go follow me at Johnny F Baseball. Go follow Danny at DHart3592. And Dallas, what is yours? At Dallas Braden.
At Dallas Braden 209 on
209.
Twitter. At the 209 Mayor on Instagram. At Dallas Braden 209 on TikTok. I fucking kill TikTok.
Love it. Love it. All right, boys. Thank you for everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you for everything. We are out.